All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Western Region Middle School Esports Conference Winter Orientation. We're just going to kind of go over a little bit of information about the league for anyone that's new, and then really jump into how to register for the three titles that we have running this winter in Dirt Rally, Super Smash Brothers, and chess. So thank you all for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. The big thing about our league is just like communication is key since we're all working in elementary, middle school areas. We really appreciate you taking this time out of your day to jump in and join us. And I think Miles is going to start by talking about, well, first, a little bit, I should probably slideshow this so it shows the whole thing.
There we go. Let's
So
go.
this is a little bit old, but yeah, we're in the Pacific and Mountain time zones. Free esports league for any middle school age kids. So basically like eighth grade and under. And we run 3 seasons during the year. We're pretty well spread out. We've had teams from 6 different states in our 2 time zones here. And it's been fun. It's been great. So do you want to talk a little bit about it, Miles?
Yeah, that's the fun part. So the who, what, when, where, why, the where has kind of been discussed. Even just if we could go back to that where map, there's some states here that they have a great representation. New Mexico, California. We got some teams in Colorado, Washington. But for the most part, we're Pacific and Mountain time zones. Even a little bit of the Central time zones trickling in from here and there. But we all started when, I say, was it 5 years ago? Schools around the country were looking to play together. And, whether you were in New Jersey or in Sacramento, we had developed some type of Excel spreadsheet where we were getting kids together because we knew that this was the right thing to do. Let's get our kids gaming together. So, the why we do this is because our teens are gaming, our sixth graders are gaming. We got fifth graders, fourth graders. We got Montezuma Elementary in the house with us today with Daniel Taylor. We've been kind of immersed in this world where kids have so much experience gaming, and we want to figure out a way to get them uh, to go into school more, to get them to want to care about their education from STEM to STEAM, from game to book. It's definitely been this really fun venture for the WRMSEC to build these connections between gaming and learning. So, yeah, I mean, this is a scholastic esports league, but it's teacher driven and it's a community based on practitioners who are really looking to get the most out of their students, the most out of the educational experience. And just as I saw Anton, he's still at school, he's still working. It's 5:30. He's not going home until this meeting's over. And I think that's really the embodiment of this league. It started with a few teachers, JD and James Wood, who's off doing more school stuff at the moment. He can't join us, but we really focused on trying to get our teachers around us to represent their students' gaming habits and their interests. And really, I mean, it started from playing Rocket League, which seemed, like a simple game to start with, to later on when you hear from Nicholas about Dirt Rally 2.0 and the evolution of all the cool games we've been adding to the mix and just kind of adding to the library of the stuff we offer. So the why is because games are awesome, and teachers seem to be doing the right thing by bringing the games to the kids. And the what is obviously winter season. So there are 3 seasons. If you're just joining us right now, we just had our fall season, which was the biggest fall season we've ever had, and we're looking at having the largest winter season we've ever had. And we have a spring season that is forthcoming with additional titles, Rocket League, Omega Strikers. I think Dirt Rally might be additionally going as well. I could be mistaken on that. Nicholas will be helping us out. And then in the fall, if I didn't go over this, we went over Brawlhalla, and for the first time, we did a uh,
I
Mario
miss
Kart
Paula.
time trial, which was amazing. Even the coaches got into it. So, um, covering the who, what, when, where, why, it seems to be what is popular, what is meaningful for our kids, and why is it's almost intuitive. So if you're just joining us or you've been here for a bit, you know that the community of the WRMSEC is really what makes us who we are. We really take pride in that. When we reach out to other coaches, other schools. We're trying to find out what works, how we can be the most innovative, because we know there are other places to compete. We know there are other communities where coaches are looking to get their kids involved. But we've really taken pride coming from the North American Scholastic Esports Federation about putting kids first, about making this very meaningful. And so, as we go throughout the slideshow and we're talking about registration or whatever, it's really centered in like, how do we make this the easiest for kids? How can schools at all levels kind of get in without having to, have a huge lab? Or what if they only have this? Or what are the differentiated approaches to getting our kids into gaming? What happens if the board of education in our district doesn't really approve of this? How can we do what's right for kids? And so, going back to that cornerstone, if we had a mission statement, which I think we should make at this point, is like teacher driven leagues, for students. And I really think that the practitioner piece is huge. There's some coaches in here who they don't know how to develop tryouts, or how do I evolve from a gaming club to a gaming team? What does a practice look like? How do I manage one team if I have 15 kids involved in one switch? So it's kind of, there are no simple answers to anything here, and that's why we exist. That's the why, is how do we do this? And I said, well, I don't know. We're all asking each other that sometimes. Everything that you see in the WRMSEC we've developed with the help of not only you all, but then other leagues around who are trying to do the same thing. On the East Coast, we started with Chris Aviles and Garden State Esports, and we have a good relationship between their rule set and our rule book, and James Wood and the CIF and what they're doing in California and all the way up into Canada. So, as we're going through today and we get some questions and stuff, and you feel like, wow, you said a lot at the beginning, Dr. Harvey, what do you mean about practices? Or wait, stay on the call, feel free. We can show you all the resources, we can tell you where to go and who to talk to, because not everybody knows everything, and some people have a specialty in one area, like Brawlhalla coaches. Wow, I'm like, all right, we gotta talk. I still don't know really what's going on. We have some chess specialists. I know Cameron Savage at Trust Volcanis. I think he won the I could be mistaken, but he's got a lot of experience running multiple chess teams at once. So I don't know everything. JD, I'm sorry if I say this, but I don't know if he knows everything.
I
Um,
agree.
but I think together is what makes us so powerful. So, with that being said, I hope that answers a little bit of the who, what, when, where, why. We're all about students, we're all about you, and we're all about improving every single season.
Yeah, and the good thing with this is, programs are at completely different levels, and that's definitely okay. Like, most of us started with a casual gaming club, and then we found more kids that kind of wanted to be more competitive, and then it kind of branched off into that. So, if you just have a casual gaming club, if you have competitive kids, there's a place for you here to jump in and join. If it's your first time doing this, great. If you've been at it for five or more years, great too. Like, we're just all at different levels. So, any questions that you have, there's probably someone in there that's, or mistakes that you make, there's probably someone in the Discord that's had the same question and had an answer for it or found something that's worked for them. So it's really about just like building that community and helping each other with it, because it's all, like I said, it's nonprofit. We don't charge anyone anything to play. You just have to find your own, have your own resources like within your program, and that could be kids playing on iPads or Chromebooks with something like chess, or it could be a full lab, like they added a bunch of labs in Albuquerque this year. So yeah, there's just a wide range of where everyone's at, and wherever you're at is where you're at, and that's perfectly fine. We just want to help support you to grow your program into whatever you want it to be, or what your more so what your students want it to be is really where it comes to. On the part for students, a big thing, since almost all of our students are under 13, we don't ever collect any information from students. The only thing that we're going to collect this year for chess, we'll get their chess.com user IDs, because you'll need those to set up the games, but it's not their name. It's not anything like that. We'll probably in the spring collect Epic IDs for Rocket League, just to make sure kids are all in the right divisions. Since our fall season is kind of the, like, you think of like baseball, like fall ball is like everyone's practicing, getting in, getting your stuff ready. The spring season's a little bit more competitive, so there's a little bit more stringent rules with it. But yeah, we don't collect any student information. On our website that we use, LeagueOS, they don't collect any student information. All of the students that we put in there are what are called unattached. So it's they have it set up to where kids could register and they could link all of their Epic IDs and all their usernames for everything, and it sets some neat stuff up for that. We work with under 13, so we don't do that. But at the end, like after your kids go to high school or move on to whatever schools above you with those unattached accounts, if you set them up to where it's for a specific student, you can then give that student's parents access to that account so it keeps track of all of the things that they did. If you set it up that way, most schools are going to have like just one player in there because you do need a player on your team for it to give you games, for it to match you up. But then that's an unattached player. But you can get information in there to give to the student once they leave your program to show, because we're really about developing players. So just like you would with your intramural sports and things like that in middle school, you're doing a few different things. You're trying to develop them for high school or beyond that, or you're giving them a safe, fun place to be involved in a sport, or in something, a club in their school that they haven't been involved in before. So no student information, I said, other than you'll do the chess.com usernames. Again, our winter season, Super Smash Brothers, chess, Dirt Rally, and we're going to talk about each of those a little bit individually. So, Nicholas, do you want to talk a little bit about Dirt Rally? And if you need to share, let me know. Share your screen or what. Dirt Rally's new for all of us this year. It's super exciting to have like a realistic racing game, and Nicholas is the expert with that.
Hey there. Good. My microphone is working. I didn't have a chance to test it earlier. Unfortunately, I didn't find my capture card and get it all set up in time for this meeting. But yeah, I'm kind of the go-to on this. I'm the one that put together our league rules and all of that, which I believe are linked in the Discord channel. But if not, I will make sure that that link is updated. This is our one game that doesn't go through LeagueOS. You don't have to register for LeagueOS for this. At all, in fact, because it's handled entirely through the Dirt Rally 2 Championship website. So in some ways, it's going to be a little more difficult for you to set up in that it's not the LeagueOS thing. So if you've been doing LeagueOS this year, it's different, but the process is a little easier because for every account that you play on, like every team you have, they're going to have their own account that you'll register, and once you've got that account set up, whether that's on Xbox or Steam or PlayStation, what you'll do is you'll click the link that is posted right there, and it's posted in the Discord channel as well, and basically log in with that account. So if you're playing through Steam, once you've played in Steam, it will set up a RaceNet account for you. And then if you log into that website up there with the Steam account, it should ask you to just join. Then all I ask is that in the Discord, you send me a little ping, let me know what the RaceNet account name is so that I can link it to the appropriate school and allow it into the sport. The nice thing about Dirt Rally 2 is that kind of like the Mario Kart time trials last season, it's totally asynchronous. So you don't have to like arrange a meeting with another school. What you'll do is you'll log in anytime during the week. That'll open up on Mondays, and you'll have basically all the way until Mondays at midnight, basically Pacific time. And you'll have all the way until Sunday at midnight to get through it with your teams. They can play from home if you want them playing from home. They can play from school. There's no way to communicate with the other players beyond just being able to see the account names. There's no in-game chat. There's no in-game voice, any of that kind of stuff. So it's pretty secure as long as the names are chosen appropriately. So you might have your teams, if they're playing from home with their own personal account versus a school account, you might have them pick a name that's not identifying. Each week, you're going to have students race in about 4 different races, and it's a time trial. It's point to point. So yeah, you're they're going to race in 4 different races. You have some ability to split that up across days if they're playing from school. It should take less than an hour per team to complete. And you could split that team up, you could split those 4 races up among multiple people in your team. So if like you have 3 kids that want to play or 2 kids that want to play, you could have 1 kid do 2 races and the other 2 kids do 1 race, things like that. So it's definitely possible to have multiple kids on a single team, or have as few as 1 kid per team if you want to set up multiple accounts and get them all connected up to the club. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be available on Discord kind of all the time if you guys need help setting up anything. If you want, I can try and find some like video walkthroughs on setting all that up, and I'd be happy to give you some information about how to actually play Dirt Rally, because it is a little bit more challenging than like your average game like Gran Turismo or Mario Kart or Forza or any of those that your students may be playing. But I will also be on the Discord call to answer questions as we go further on as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicholas. And the great thing about that is the asynchronous part. So you don't have to meet on a specific day. You don't have to meet at a specific time. And it sounds like you can kind of adjust your team to get as many students as you want involved. And the game is relatively cheap. It is one that you do have to pay for, but it's relatively cheap and usually goes on sale. So hopefully, I think there was just a sale on it recently.
Yeah, it was there was just a sale on it. It was $5 on Steam recently. It's a little more. It's $20 on Steam regularly, and I think it's closer to a full price game on PlayStation and Xbox. It's also included in the EA like subscription membership as well. Yeah. And we're not requiring any of the DLC at all to be able to participate. So unless you have a team that's really into like wanting to try more than we're doing in the league itself, you don't have to worry about picking up the really expensive version. The sequel just came out, so I would expect that here in the winter sale in a week or 2, it probably goes on sale again for around $5 to $10.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah, that's one thing we definitely try to do is make sure we have both low cost and free options, and that's definitely a good low cost option. And I love the asynchronous portion of it where you can get students. I know Mario Kart was great because you could get students kind of racing on their own while you were doing possibly other things with like with Rocket League. But this is a great way to get students involved that are interested in racing games. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions about it, please let Nicholas know, because I have, like Miles had said, we spread out the expertise here, and Nicholas is the expert with that. All right, we're going to jump over to Super Smash Brothers. We're doing Super Smash Brothers a little bit differently than we have in the past, mainly because of time and to make it easier. I know I said we're trying to like get kids ready for high school. Our rule set for Super Smash Brothers is not the way that they're going to play it competitively in high school, but it's going to allow you probably to get more kids involved and to keep the entire game time under an hour, because last year, one of the issues that we had with Super Smash Brothers was just how long it took. So our regular season, you'll be matched up against another school, but it'll be 5 1v1 matches, and each match is going to be worth points. So it's not like a 2 out of 3 or anything like that, or a 3 out of 5 like Rocket League was. Each match is worth points. So you could come away with it with 5 points, or I'm sorry, you could come away with it with 0 to 15 points, but just based off of each match is worth a point. Your teams can be as few as 3 players and as many as 5 players. And this also helps, like if someone's not there, if you have 4 players show up, that's fine too. So 3 to 5 players. If your team has less than 5 players, one of your students will play like first and then fourth, or second and then fifth, sort of thing. You'll just break it up. A kid can play in 2, but no more than 2. So you couldn't have one kid that's really, really great at Super Smash and just have them play the entire time. That was another one of the issues that we had with Super Smash last year, is if someone didn't lose, they could theoretically like play through the entire other team, and then their team would only have one person play. So it'll be 5 1v1 matches. I believe it's in the rule book. I don't know a whole lot about Super Smash, but we'll link all those rule books. But yeah, Super Smash, 5 1v1s. Each one's worth 3 points. So your team will just have like an overall score after each match, and overall score. And then we'll figure out really what our playoff rule set is going to be like. We try and get as many teams involved in the playoffs. It usually has to be like 8 or 16 just to keep it to an amount of days that works. But yeah, um, we'll figure out the playoff rule set like kind of as we go. Anton, did you have a question?
Yeah, but for the basic rule set, when they're competing before the playoffs, is it still no items? Is it still just pretty set to no time limit and then 3 stock, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's 3 stock and a 7-minute match with
Oh, 7 minutes. Okay.
yeah, with no extras because we really want to try and keep it under an hour of time because I know like for my teams, we have to leave at a specific time because of late buses usually.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just trying to get as many kids involved as possible. And like I said, I haven't ran Super Smash, so that would really be a question for James. He's the one of the experts with Super Smash, or a deal out here in Arizona is pretty good with Super Smash too. But Super
We did
Smash,
put the oh, sorry to interrupt. We
yeah,
did
no, go
put
ahead.
we had like in the Super Smash Brothers general on Discord, as much as I tried to make the rule set kind of just transparent, there's also a rule book you can click and really review and get familiar. It'd be something I'd suggest as you're preparing, weeks before or even the week leading up to the season. Say, hey, at practice, let's practice with these settings. Let's practice 1v1ing, any characters on, 3 stock, no items, and kind of go over that. And I think they'll become very familiar with it once you do it once or twice. But yeah, and then the one thing we had just talked about too, or we made it simplified so that every week, just kind of like our Mario Kart, we had one stage. One part of the very competitive scene of Super Smash is like stage striking, and there's a bunch that goes into it. But really, just to simplify, so the kids have a really good experience, we tried to put that rule set in Discord so that it's just like week 2, like let's prepare for that, let's plan for that. We already know exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, Christina, I believe so, but I can get you that answer for sure. I think the beginning of March is when the season ends. Yeah, so Super Smash, 5 players. You will need probably for each team. You can have more than one team if your program is able to support that, but you'll need a Switch for each team, basically a Switch and a copy of the game because they'll play at the same time. And Nintendo Switches are notoriously difficult to get on school Wi-Fi. So if you're planning on playing, we will have a 2-week preseason, but make sure that you guys can get on there. The Discord, there's like scrimmage scheduling and things like that. Other teams, like just a way to make sure that it works before you jump in there. Bring your IT staff some cookies or like their favorite school appropriate drink. But yeah, it's those are definitely something. But we have resources on how to get that stuff on your network as well. Yeah, Colin, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. Like even the hardware connections are still very finicky because you have to have like the exact ports unblocked. Otherwise, if you don't have a NAT Type A, you're not going to be able to connect to a match because we learned that lesson hard last year at CIF.
Yeah,
that's a really good point, Colin. At APS, the IT person for esports said, hey, everybody who's using the Switch, take a picture of the settings under internet. Let me know what IP address you are. Let me know, like, send that to us so we know exactly how to unlock it. I think that's such a great comment, Colin.
Yeah, and I've heard different districts have issues like they can play fine outside the district, but have trouble sometimes playing within the district and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely just some things to test out to make sure. And like Colin said, the hardwired. So if you have the newer OLED switch, it has an Ethernet port in the dock. The older ones don't, but they do have USB. So you could plug in a USB adapter. I know a lot of schools, that's the way that they'll get them online is making you have like a set connection with and unblocking that IP address. Other schools will use like a Wi-Fi access point that's kind of off their network. It really depends on how your IT can set it up and how they want to set it up. I found most of the IT staff want these things to succeed, so they'll definitely help and try, but it's not something like, hey, we have a game on Tuesday, I'm going to talk to IT on Monday. It's something that can can take a little bit of time. So if you haven't yet talked to your IT staff about it, please start doing that so that you're prepared and able to go. Chess is probably the lowest barrier of entry yeah, it took 6 months and 3 IT guys. Yeah, the switches they're tough sometimes. Um, Chess is probably our lowest barrier of entry. You'll register one team, and then each player, and I'll show you guys how to do this here in just a minute. Each player will have to be put in with their chess.com username because the actual game happens on chess.com. And to get that game to happen, you have to send like an invite or a game request to that username. Chess.com can work on a phone, it can work on Chromebooks, it can work on like if you have gaming PCs. So really, if you have Chromebooks or iPads in your district, you could have kids participate in the chess season by playing on chess.com. I know a lot of like within my district, we're a Google district, you can hit sign in with Google on chess.com and it works for our students. You might have to talk to your IT about that because they just recently changed like which um, you have to kind of approve more things now to be able to do the sign in with Google as of early October, I think. But it does ask your students to verify their email address. They don't have to do that to play. Like in my district, our students can't receive emails from outside the district, so they don't actually get that email to verify their chess.com account. They could still play. What you need to do, or what verifying it does, is gives you access to the in-game chat, which honestly, I don't want my students to have access to anyway. So if you have a verified chess.com account, then you have the in-game chat. If you don't, like our students in my district, wouldn't by through email, so they wouldn't have access to the chat on chess.com. We really want coaches to be the ones communicating to each other, not necessarily students. So for me personally, yeah, I like that. So an APS can't use their APS accounts. They have to do a personal email. Yeah, so have kids try. And it might be something that your IT can say like, okay, we're going to let that happen. Or your IT department might already have policies in place that are like, hey, they can't use sign in with Google for anything other than like the apps we pay for throughout our district. So but you will need to put in a player. Games will be 10-minute by 10-minute settings. So I believe, and Cameron might be able to answer this better than me. I believe that means each player basically has 10 minutes of time to make plays. So the entire match should take less than half an hour, if I'm knowing correctly on that.
Yeah, that's correct. Anytime that it's a player's move, that timer is just going down, and then when it switches to the other person's move, their time stops and it's the opponent's turn, and it just goes down and down. Last year I had games that last 2 minutes and I had games last 30 minutes. It just depends on the matchup every single week.
Yeah. So yeah, again, for timing, trying to keep them under there. But then also, so you're going to register one team and then all of your players are going to be matched up individually in matches. They could be matched up against other players on your team. They could be matched up against other players on other teams. Last year when we were running chess, coaches had to create a team for each player and it just was kind of bothersome. So we're trying it a little bit different, but make sure they have their chess.com username. So like mine is JD Williams. I don't think that's correct, but put your school name and the chess.com username in there when you work on that. And I'll kind of show you guys how to do that, I think. Yeah, for registering, if you have already registered on LeagueOS, you can go in and just hit the register your team. It'll pick your school and things like that. If you haven't yet registered on there, I'll put all the links in the Discord again on how to register on the WRMSEC LeagueOS. If you haven't registered, let me know because we set up a school page for each school. And that's pretty neat because it has like the schedule on it. And if you're live scoring anything, that shows up on there as well. So parents could, like with Rocket League, I was live scoring it and parents could go to the school page and kind of see the score of the Rocket League games as they were going on. You don't have to do that, but it's something that is on there. But so for new schools, I need to set up the group that's your school for you. So we're going to just kind of walk through right now how to set that up. I'm going to go from a completely new account that doesn't have It doesn't have a team registered yet. So really, you'll just go to the WRMSEC page. It says registration right now is open for Super Smash Brothers, and it's open for chess. I don't know why the Super Smash link's there, but so you could register for either of them right here. I'm going to register for chess right now because the registration for Super Smash and chess is exactly the same to get your team in there. The only difference is then for chess, you need to put your players in. So if I go in and register for chess, you come to the page, there's register your team, and you can select a team if you already had one that was in there, or you can create a new team. So I'm going to create my new team. My new team is EFGA, Australia Foothills Global Academy Chess. And then the school should show up there if you've already set one up. If you haven't yet, just leave that part blank and I can attach your team to your school. So that may or may not be in there. I'm just going to hit submit. And really, that is all you have to do to get your team registered. Then on the admin side, we do have to go in and verify each team. So your team will show up here, but it won't show up like saying that you're all set and ready to go. But then you can adjust your roster. So the easiest way, there's a manage roster here, but the easiest way I've found is to actually go to that teams page. So now I'm here at the teams page. I'm in Western Region. I'm at the Australia Foothills. My EFGA chess team is here. And if you click on members, it shows right now that only I'm in, only my coach is in there. It says manager next to it. You do need, so in Super Smash, you will need to add one player at least. You can just, if you already have players in, you can hit the add button and all of the players that are in your school can already be put in there. But for chess, you're probably going to need to do new players, and it's a little weird the way that it's set up. So since we're doing no student information, you have to make what's called an unattached player. And that's this little link next to add to create a new unattached player. So if I just click that right here in the league tag, that's where you're going to put in. So I'm going to put in EFGA, and then I'm going to put in my chess.com username. I think it's JD Williams 33. And I just hit create, and that student should show up as a player there on your team. And you can have one player on your chess team. You can have 15 players on your chess team. The only thing is, if you have 15, I hope you have another adult in the room to help you, because when the matches actually play, it'll be a little bit interesting. But really, you just go in here, add unattached players, and they'll all show up in there. And then on my admin side, so if I go into chess right now, showing you guys a little bit behind the scenes, teams show up over here, and you can see they are in there kind of, they need to be verified. So I need to go in and verify, confirm those teams. And then they'll show up on the list of teams that are there. Really for SSBU and chess, that's really how you create the team. Just basically click on the link once you've registered for League OS and register your team. If you have more than one team, chess, you probably wouldn't, but you might have more than one team for SSBU. You just do the same process again. We do ask, though, when you're with your team names, please also put your school in there somewhere, because that's just helpful for other coaches to contact you. It's helpful for me to be like, okay, this is the team that goes with Australia Foothills. So have your team name in there. And then once your team has been verified, they'll show up in the rosters here. So we can see we have quite a few Super Smash Brothers teams in here already. And like Tipton has 3 of them. So they added 3 different ones. You only have to have one player on your Super Smash Brothers team. You do have to have in League OS like a verified player so that it says like, hey, your team's ready to go to do the matchups. But then in chess, you'll just add them each individually. I kind of want to show you what game day looks like a little bit. So I'm going to go back to our Rocket League season to show what it's going to look like. So it'll be split up into weeks. We'll do 2 weeks of preseason, which is not really going to No data available for school. That means Waylon, I need to add you. Can you ping me on Discord your League OS name? I need to add you as a member of your school. You're probably an admin of your school, but not a member of your school. And it probably won't let you do it leaving it blank if you already have an account in there. But yeah, chess is Tuesday, SSPU Thursday. We'll do 2 weeks of preseason that won't really count towards your schedule, then a 6-week season that will count for the points, and then we'll do probably we'll do about 2 weeks of playoffs, and playoffs are usually you'll probably play an extra day during playoffs just so we can get more teams in there. Yeah, Aaron, question?
Yeah, just if you can clarify something with the Super Smash Bros. You said that in the team you only need one student in there, so that one student, like I could have multiple students be that player. I don't have to register a different player for each one of my students.
No, for Super Smash you don't, because you're just going to know which 5 are playing. So like if I go into JMMS's team here, on his roster has Dr. Harvey there as the manager, and he
Right.
has just an unattached JMMS player. That's so that you can put more information in there if you want to, but you don't have to for Super Smash.
Yeah, and if you had, let's say you had 2 teams for Super Smash, like you had 2, like you had 2 switches or something, then you'd want to make sure, I guess, at that point that you didn't have students playing for one of the teams, but then switching over to another. Like if you had JMMS Super Smash Black and then JMMS Super Smash Orange, if I had a team who really needed some better players, I wouldn't move one to the other. But just keeping with the one team format. I think I might have 7 or 8 players this season. I might rotate who plays. I think it's a really good idea to have a large amount of kids for Super Smash. Some, a 12-year-old doesn't know when they have a dentist appointment. I don't blame him. And also, it also just builds capacity and lets you know that you may not. I don't know. People are absent. They will be absent. Some people can't play, but you can also use them for expanding your program, like shoutcasting, rotating out who might be able to. Well, there's lots that goes into it, but yeah. So just depending on the amount of people for chess, it's okay. I think you know who's going to be playing in that matchup. That's fine. But I think for Super Smash, don't be afraid to put 10 kids on your Smash team and rotate which kids are playing each week, and then have them. Because the probability is if you have 10 kids that play Super Smash, and you have one team, there are going to be a couple switches in the room. The kids might bring theirs, and that might lead to some internal stuff going on too. But it's your
Yeah.
choice what you do.
Yeah, so minimum of 3 players, maximum of 5 that will play each week. The number of players on your team, like, is kind of really up to you. So not every kid, that's kind of part of the kids will kind of need to learn. They're not possibly going to play each week. Like that could happen. That happens in basketball. That happens in football. Same sort of thing. But yeah, so once the schedule is set up, we try and do for chess. I think we're probably going to do a 3-week and 3-week for the regular season, just because we do want you to kind of know your schedule so that if you have parent teacher conferences one week and you need to adjust or things like that, like you can contact the other coach and set up that change if you're able to. So we want to do the whole schedule all out at once, and I'll make the whole schedule all out at once. But I think with chess, we'll probably go like 3 weeks and then adjust so that we could add players in if you needed to or wanted to, or remove players if you need to or want to, or change, like if you have a player take over for another player, we can change user accounts and things like that. But this is what it will look like. Christina, I don't think we're going to have just Super Smash will just be open. But we'll kind of discuss in the Discord, like if you have like your top player play first, your next best player play second, sort of a thing. But that's really, I know with Rocket League, we put them into different divisions just because that's a game with a large gap in skill sets
Yeah,
usually.
and honestly, the game we've had the most experience with and the biggest capacity. So, if there's a discussion forming amongst the coaches and we see that there's one superstar kid or two, I mean, we have coaches in this Discord channel who have won the national championship in Super Smash amongst middle school. So there's a lot of expertise, and that good gamer might be a great assistant coach. We don't want to have them not play, but they might be the one who plays last. There's a lot of educational strategy that will go into building up the capacity for sure.
Mhm. And this is only the second year that we've offered Super Smash, so we're still kind of learning what's going to be best for everyone as well. So it's definitely kind of an ongoing discussion as to how things get set up. Um, so this is what it looks like when you have games. It will be set into different weeks. So I'm just going to jump into week 3, and I can see like I was EFGA. So when you go to look at a game, um, we'll go to this one here. Isabel played Lamson, and it has different games. When you hit as a coach, there will be a start match, but you might have to hit enter scores and then start the match. And then when you hit start the match, right here underneath where it lets you change this. If I hit enter result, it's not going to let me do it now because it's finished, but it gives you like up and down arrows to put the scores in. And then there's a winner. So for chess, you just at the end of the match do 1-0 winner. For Super Smash, you're going to put in your scores for each game because each of the 5 games is worth points. So you really game 1, you'll just put in a 1-0, pick who won. Game 2, put in a 1-0, pick who won. And then that will, after it's verified, that will go into the stats area and it'll have the points there for your team. The neat thing about this page is you can search it. So it has all of them if I want to just look at all of them instead of looking at individual rounds. But you can search for your school. So if I search for EFGA, here's all of my matches. And if you have any issues or anything, all these matches have a match number. And that's the easiest way for us to kind of help you out. Like, let us know which match it is. And we can figure out things for there. This is our first year with League OS as well. And I feel sometimes like it's 1,000 monkeys with 1,000 typewriters. Like I'm pushing buttons in there, hoping that it works the way that it's supposed to. And so far, we've been pretty much okay with it. But yeah, if there's anything you have questions about or specific match, like just let us know the match number. We can try and find a fix for any of the issues. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and just
so
to add too, like I think it is kind of it is an intimidating process from starting from like just the technical side of registering a team, how this works on match day. Wait, how do I contact you? How does Discord work? Where's the contact sheet for? I think a lot of that is very stressful and can be challenging. So please don't feel like you can't reach out to us on Discord. You can always email JD and I. But like again, at the beginning, I was talking about this is why we're all here to help each other. So, if you see somebody who needs help, help them. If you want to reach out to us at admin, you can at admin, I believe, and it will ping us. But definitely,
mhm.
like, don't be afraid to ask questions to the teachers and coaches. They're definitely here to assist you, show you. Really, that's the magic of it. I've been a part of other leagues, and I feel helpless sometimes. I don't know who to talk to. This is why we wanted to be in this meeting, to put a face to the name, to show you, not just tell you.
Yeah. So definitely feel free to reach out either in the Discord, through Discord direct messages if it's something you don't want to post like for everyone, or email with any of us. And with email, please also in the Discord, there's a link to the team contact list. Please fill that out because it has information for basically everyone. So these are just all the teams. I'll go in and I'll put like SSBU tab, a chess tab with just the teams that are participating in that. But it also has links to if you're streaming. A lot of people put their cell phone numbers in there because they're like, hey, the best way to contact me during game day is to send me a text or to
Right.
call. Um, Share the information that you feel comfortable with sharing there. This is a public document, but it's only linked like from within our Discord. Um,
And just to
but
plug another thing, I think the flexibility and the way we've structured this is meant to be, as JD said earlier, to work with your school schedule. We work in many different districts in many different states, and for somehow, let's say fall break and Thanksgiving is crazy. I don't know why no one can figure out when fall break is, and everybody takes a month to figure that out. But when we have a schedule, we know that, let's say in week 3, if you might be somewhere, you could reach out to another school and maybe plan it a little bit early. And, whether you have your phone number out there, an email, or you reach out on Discord, I mean, that's the beauty of it, is we're all just trying to plan our unit per se. This is our winter season. We're looking ahead. We can't wait for the spring, but we really want to make sure it fits in with what you're comfortable with, because there are some teams who only play in the fall or the spring. And there are some teams who go, wow, we're just getting started. Our first season ever will be right now. And you just got to remember, have some empathy here for um, who you're playing, what state it is, what they might be going through, because sometimes scheduling can be difficult. But we have tried to eliminate one of the biggest things we've seen nationally as an epidemic is the forfeit. We don't
Mhm.
like forfeits. We want to make sure you get those matches in. We want your kids to get that experience in. We don't want them to go, oh, I guess we can't play today. We just found out 10 minutes ago, and the kids are all sad. We've really taken pride in getting most of those matches in every single season for years. And that is a brilliant thing. I know if any of you have had forfeits before, you're like, what do I do with my kids now? They were so pumped up. I have parents here to watch. I had a stream to get to. So reach out early, plan. I know things can happen, but it's very rare that we don't make the matches happen because we're all pretty responsible.
Yeah, and, the communication, so during the game, probably for Super Smash, not so much for chess because you're gonna have a game for each player, um, but for Super Smash, there's in-game chat, like, at right here where you're, on the page, and that only goes to coaches, so only coaches are able to see that because there aren't students in there, but that's a good way to reach out, like, we'll reach out at the beginning of the week, I'll send a message in the chat, and I'll send an email and be like, "Hey, who's setting up the match? Who's doing this?" All that information for Super Smash Brothers, the way that that's set up, so it gives you, like, a home team on the left and an away team on the right, that's kind of the differentiator to say, like, hey, this is the team that sets up, and we have that listed. I don't know Super Smash well enough to give you the exact answers right now, but we have it listed in the rule book, like which team makes the match and how that does. Mountain time, yeah, I only have until 5, which is 4 Pacific.
That's going to cut it
That's
close. I think that's pretty close. I think
yeah,
at 30 to 45 minutes is what either chess or Super Smash is going to take this season.
yeah. So definitely like reach out to those schools that you're playing and be like, "Hey, instead of 3:30, can we start at 3:15?" sort of a thing. Or just adjust them the best that you can, to try and get in there.
And just another thing too, thinking about, what some programs can do, what some programs can't. I hear a lot about the Elgato capture card. People are like, wait, what's that? Wait, you have a streaming setup? Like, wait, you have shoutcasters? Sometimes the best publicity for your team is to have another school who has that ability be streaming that match, showing that to your principal. I don't usually do a dual streamer. One school I'm playing is streaming and we're streaming. It's kind of redundant. So, I like to say, reach out ahead. Hey, by the way, do you have the chance to stream? If I can't, maybe you could. And that really builds up to the capacity for your program, because everyone does want to watch. The students want to watch, the parents want to watch, the admin wants to know what you're talking about. And some schools have a really, really, really great shoutcasting streaming ability here in our community. And some people, they're starting it up for the first time. Like I just heard Mr. Savage at a Trust Volcanis just got his streaming thing set up on Twitch, and I know that's going to really add to his ability over there. But don't be afraid, reach out. Hey, would you mind streaming our game if you could? Because it is so great for the replayability, for the social media stuff. And I know that when I run the Western region social media stuff, I love showcasing the great things you all do. It is so nice to have the district or your state go, wow, we're seeing these things that you can do. We would love to back that. So send them our way, as long as you have the permissions of who you're recording and what you're doing. We don't want to, again, put any
Mhm.
data or privacy things out there that we don't want to. But for the most part, we're using gamer tags. For the most part, your shoutcasters should have names that they go by, and not their real names. But send us that stuff. Dirt Rally. I cannot wait for the replays in Dirt Rally. It's going to be so fun. So, chess in itself, super fun to stream. It's fun to
Mhm.
hear people getting wild about the moves and stuff. But yeah, just reach out to each other, because we are going to stand on the shoulders of giants, and some programs are just a little larger than others, and it's great to piggyback off of that until you're ready to do it yourself.
Yeah. And if you're doing things like streaming and things like that, just make sure that you're following all of your district procedures and rules. I know, like my district, we stream on Twitch, and our communications director told me that that was okay, but we have it set to be emote only chat because Twitch is not a way that's set up for like teachers and students to communicate with each other. Um, don't add your students as like in-game friends unless it's something that you've gotten okay from on the permission slip, both from your admin or your district and from students' parents, sort of a thing. Like, just make sure you're following all of those procedures that are in place for your district, that are in place to protect your students and to protect you. I know with when we were shoutcasting games, sometimes students wanted to have the camera on, so I made sure they had the photo and video release all set and they could be on there. And I let parents know beforehand too. But then some kids wanted to shoutcast, but they didn't want the camera on, sort of a thing. So it's all just kind of what works best for you. So I'm putting the contact information up there. I'm going to go in and make any of the teams and things like that that need to happen. Just let us know in the Discord. Reach out if you have any questions, concerns. I'm going to stop the recording now and kind of just go back to any questions that you have. But again, thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. We definitely appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully it is useful.